Hello y'all, this is Levi from Masculine Intuition Readings. A little bit of a different setup again. I'm in my messy little office and loving it. And I saw Queen Auset do this video, and I think it was a VR to someone else, where she was like, hey, I'm going to show you guys some decks that make me feel good, that make me feel happy. And I was like, I kind of want to do that too. And I started opening up my drawers and I was like, okay, this is already kind of getting very overwhelming because I like a lot. What I also like a lot is this Barbie, oversized Barbie tee that I got from ASOS. And you can see in the mirror back there that there's a huge ass Ken doll on the back. So loving this, loving how it looks on me. So I was like, okay, am I gonna be like super discerning about this, or am I just gonna talk about all kinds of stuff that I love and maybe even make a part 2 or maybe even a part 3? I could also do one about stuff that I thought I would love but I kind of fell flat for me. So I could do like tons of stuff with this, but I just wanted to sit down, talk a little bit. And what I'm gonna start with is, because I have a whole pile over here which you can't see, not even in the mirror over there, with this whole pile of decks that honestly I used to despise, and I always used to be very, excuse me while I vape a little while I film. So used to visit metaphysical stores, used to hate all these Doreen Virtue angel decks. Are they the best decks ever? No, definitely not. Is she a total raging like lunatic? Yeah. Did she, together with Hay House, back then change the way divination was marketed, and did she make it super approachable for everyone rather than for these occultists, these mystics? Fuck yeah. So that's pretty cool. And I have some decks by her that I really like. But yeah, the whole concept of angel cards, I used to hate it. Like, honestly, like a couple of years back, it was very much me trying to be really cool and credible all the time. So cool that it hurt. And yeah, I realized that I've never been the cool kid and I don't have to be the cool kid. So without further ado, one of my favorite feel-good decks, and I used to only have the Dutch edition, but Martin gifted me his English edition, and I know a lot of people don't like this one. But this is one of my quintessential feel-good decks. It's the Guardian Angel Tarot by Doreen Virtue and Radley Valentine. The box even has glitters on it. It's so amazing. It's your typical Angel Tarot affair. This is the last one they did. The guidebook is really thick, so there's a lot of extra text in the guidebooks. However, you know, you don't have to be able to read tarot with this deck. You can, you know, pick a card, read the message, not know anything about tarot, and still have a wonderful little message for you. So I like the illustrations on these cards because they're very vintage. It's very scrapbooky. It's very shabby chic. Yes, there will probably be a glare because this is shiny cardstock, but also this isn't an unboxing. This is just me telling you why I like the decks. The messages written on the cards are really, really sweet, satisfying. The illustrations make me think of my mom. Dutch girls, I don't know if they still do, but used to always have a little poetry album that they would give to their friends, and their friends would write a little bit of poetry in it, especially for them, and then also use stickers or illustrations kind of like this to go along with them. So I absolutely adore it. I adore all these old-timey picks. Almost half of the card is text. So if you're not in a mood to read, you definitely don't want to use this, but I kind of fell in love with it from the moment I saw it for the first time, and I just absolutely adore it. I love this Wheel of Fortune. A lot of the cards have been renamed, so the back of the box, at least of the Dutch version, says that this is for the most sensitive people among us. I love this Wheel of Fortune. So these are examples from exactly those types of stickers and little cutouts, die cuts that would be pasted into the poetry album. So, you know, basically this deck is my mom in a box, which I just really love. It also looks really gorgeous when you, it's rather thick, you know, all these Hay House Angel Tarot decks are. But it looks really stunning when it's fanned out, you know, you get all these pastel colors. This one is also still gilded. I also love the back. So yeah, this is definitely one of my feel-good decks, you know. This is for when I don't want to be, like, I'm already overtly critical towards myself all the time. And this is for those moments where I don't want to think, I don't want to be overtly critical, and I just want to relax into the light. And that's what I use that for. Another one that does that very well for me is this one. Messages from Your Angels, an older Doreen deck. I did a very extensive, funny review on my channel. So I'm not going to be talking about it too long, but this is, you know, a really basic angel deck with sort of these made-up angels that Doreen sort of channeled, I guess. It's never really mentioned anywhere in the booklet. And then some messages that they have for you, but it's very usable, it's very fun. The graphic design is really like late 90s, early 2000s. Some of the art is incredible. The messages are good. It's colorful. It looks really, really cute. And another one of those, you know, classic pick-me-up, hey, I kind of want to feel good, maybe have a little bit of a laugh type of decks. There's even this like really bad photo art. Don't know if you can see that. Sonia, I love it. It's just it's very campy. It's very sexy. There's a lot of like sexy angels in here. Like this one, Chantal. She's my favorite. So yeah, this is a really good one that I love. Since her decks are like completely out of print now, I would say if you really want them, there's some good ones, and then there's some pretty shitty ones. I did a video on that too. I have this playlist on my channel called Down a Doreen Virtue Avenue. You can kind of check everything out there. Also the rundowns of which decks of hers I think are good and which ones are kind of meh for me. So if you really want to spend your money on an original, go do that. Otherwise, just go to AliExpress and get a knockoff. And this is the only time I will justify someone getting a knockoff, because some of these people will be asking prices where I'm like, no, this is not an antique, it's an out-of-print box of cards. So, unless it's something she did together with Bradley, then usually you can still get it pretty easily up on the Amazons of it all. But yeah, don't get knockoffs of anything she ever co-wrote with anyone, because you can basically still get those. Another one that I really like, and I saw that she's doing a new deck, was the Archangel Fire Oracle, and I haven't used it in a while actually, so I should probably keep this out. I mainly got this because of the art, and it's a highly unusable deck. So this is another one where you kind of have to take your time with it. It has a very, very thick and good guidebook. It's necessary because with all these cards, look at that. With all these cards, it just says the angel. So unless you know every angel that is mentioned in here by heart, there's not a lot that you can get from the art intuitive hit wise, because it's very very much character art. It's not necessarily meant to be read intuitively, although I have noticed that there are some hints at the message sometimes, but not always, within the art. So for example, you grab this card. I love it. It's camp as hell. What I've also noticed with these angel decks, and you guys know I love seeing guys in decks. And you know, with tarot, we get that enough, at least in the classic ones. However, in the more modern ones, it's more femme focused, which is completely fine. With the angel decks, you always get like your fair share of hunky guys, which I like. So that was card 33, Carubio. Now, to be honest, I'm not an angel expert yet, so I don't know a whole lot about every other angel. So you open the guidebook, and there it very clearly says the name and then a huge ass keyword. Now, would I have wanted them to print that onto the card? Yes. But this is definitely one where I wouldn't do spreads with this either. I would pick a card and thoroughly read everything that is being said here, because each guidebook entry says a lot. So there's that keyword that you can already like use. Then there's a whole story. Then there's a message. Then there's always a how to meet section, so what you can do to meet. Then there's some alchemy in the deck. Diamond, fire, alchemy, compass of consciousness. And then there's a become the angel. To each and every angel in this deck, there's like so much information. Ritual. I don't always want to do that, but whenever I do want to do that, it makes me feel really good. So whenever I do pull a card from this deck, I try to at least use everything in the guidebook. And I think she gives great explanations on these angels. Some of them I'm sometimes like, I don't really see them as angels. However, you know, so it is a pretty new agey deck, but I love the way it looks. It's very camp. The art is superb. There's a lot of like really cool looking dudes in there. There's tons of racial diversity, age diversity. I mean, look at that. Look at that alien UFO angel. It's a total hoot. It's a new age fever dream. And honestly, the rituals and little self-care, I would rather call them self-care routines that are in this, are really good. So this is one I feel gets overlooked a lot because it isn't that user-friendly. But it's really good. Like, she wrote some good shit in that book. So definitely 10 out of 10 would recommend this. Also, I used to be very anti all the book heavy decks. I'm kind of changing my stance on them. I did a lot of reading for other people all the time. So every deck that I got had to be instantly usable, you know, and some depth in there maybe, but, you know, give me some good keywords, give me some clear symbolism. And now that I've kind of stopped reading, I used to do a lot of online readings, and now it's more like I have this gig at a local metaphysical shop, and I'm more like, you know, I'd rather have a reading every now and then over there. And now I kind of see my own practice evolving into this space where I take more and more time to, you know, be at peace with the fact that some decks are more guidebook heavy and involve a little bit more time and usage of the guidebook. So I kind of try to see decks like this sort of as a choose your own adventure. In the same vein, I also got this, but I do want to do a separate video on it because I feel it's really special. This deck is also out of print, the Oracle of the Angels by Richard Webster. It's a Llewellyn Oracle deck. I did show it briefly, but I still want to do a full video of it. It's a tiny deck, y'all. It's totally like tarot sized, which is pretty cool. So it's smaller. This one is also really unusable. So you get the name of the angel and an illustration that doesn't really tell a whole lot all the time. For example, there's a ton of angel illustrations with like two people that look sort of in love. So are all those angels about love? Not necessarily, because I can see by the font that this angel belongs to the fire suit. So it's probably more something along the lines of passion. But this is another one where you get a keyword and then you have to get into the book, which is quite thick and cool, to kind of see what it says. And the only reason why I got this is, once again, call me superficial, but what makes me feel good is looking at sexy guys. Is that wrong? Is that weird? No. You know, we're all different. Some of us are very spiritually inclined, and everything has to be super deep and esoteric, and I can get like that. But sometimes I just like a romance novel, bouquet Harlequin novel cover. And that's what all the artwork in this deck looks like. It's rather fabulous. There's only like 5 cards with chicks on there. The rest is dudes. Sometimes the Photoshop is really bad. I did show this before, but I quickly wanted to show the worst of the offenders in here. And they all look really friendly, so it's kind of weird to see these super beefcakey angels with this like sort of aloof smile almost. I mean, look at him. So I still kind of want to get into this a little bit more, and then I kind of want to do a full flip through of it. But this is not necessarily part of my feel-good deck list, but I just quickly wanted to show another one where I was kind of like, yeah, a couple years back I would have hated the shit out of this. So number 1, angels, would have hated it. Number 2, have to use the guidebook, otherwise it's unusable unless you study it completely by heart. I would have said ew, and now I'm kind of like, you know, it's still not my preferred medium. However, I can just use it for me. Another one that was a really big surprise for me was one that I got from Martin. The Star Child Tarot Akashic edition. So this is a smaller one, which I love because I love bigger decks, but and I never liked this. I remember going really hard on this because I thought it was too femme and not for me, and I thought I would like the Moonchild a lot better. And I actually gifted my Moonchild to someone else, and I got this from Martin, and I mean, I've really enjoyed reading with this. I didn't even know there were so many differences between the first edition and the Akashic edition. I don't like the Lover's card in this. I don't know why, but I don't really like it. It looks a little bit weird, also the way it's been photoshopped in. However, all the other cards are really spectacular, and they're really different. You could literally, they're almost like 2 completely different decks, in my opinion. The first edition of the Star Child, you know, the bigger one, and the Akashic borderless one. They look super different. And I love it. I love it. I don't think it's too femme at all. I actually think it's really well constructed. It has thought-provoking interpretations of the cards that I think are really special and well thought out. The Chariot right here, I mean, I love that. It's not that standard, where I feel like the Moonchild, albeit lovely, is a lot more Rider-Waite-esque than this. So this is definitely one that surprised me in a positive way, and that I feel really good about. And it's also a deck that makes me feel really good for some reason, even though it's a recent acquisition. I like it a lot, as well as this. Martin also gifted me this, the Finding Inner Peace set. This is not necessarily an Oracle deck, more like a novelty gift set with self-care, affirmations, and thoughts on the cards. I love this artist. She did another one, another rock pool deck together with Andres M. Garcia called the Pure Magic Oracle. I like this a bit more, actually. She did this all by herself. The writing is really good. The affirmations are really good. The illustrations are stunning. I mean, it's kind of that flat style. I'm not always in the mood for it, but she is really good at it, and it does feel really, hers feel really warm. They have a certain warmth to them. Also, the card quality is really good in this. Like, this seriously almost feels like an indie set. And it's really, really cute and comforting. It's a comforting deck. So yeah, this is definitely one that I really liked. It photographs really well too. And you also get this card stand with it, which isn't the prettiest, but it's really cute that it's in there. So basically, if you gift this to a friend, you're basically giving them a little self-care altar in a box. And that's kind of how I view this. So this is really pretty and really good, and it makes me feel good. Like, honestly, even this is a very luxe product for a rock pool, honestly. Even the box has soft touch matte finish. I've never seen them do this before, and honestly, rock pool publishing is my favorite publisher right now. I think they're so good. They're doing really, like, sometimes they aren't afraid to experiment, and sometimes the experiment goes a little wrong, but usually it's like really good. Like, for example, with this one. Another one that is definitely going to be a feel-good deck, but it's so new that I haven't really been able to, I can't label it as such yet because I feel like I need to have something a little bit longer. This is a very old school one, and I got it because I was working at the metaphysical store and I saw all of her decks, and I was like, I always dismissed these as well, and I kind of want to see if I can get into them. And I opened the box and I was like, this is so pretty. This is Whispers of Love by Angela Hartfield together with Josephine Wall. And I just love Josephine Wall's art. So to me it was like, if this doesn't work for me as an oracle, because Whispers of Love is very much about love and love readings, and what I found out is that it's actually more about, it's about all kinds of love, self-love, stuff like that. I just really, really love Josephine Wall's art. It has this timeless quality to it. Anyone in the witchy world, new age world, fairy tale loving world knows about her. It's stunning. There's a lot to see in the art. I really like it. I think I may get, this is my favorite with the dancing fairies. This is actually what's on the Dutch cover of the Dutch edition of the deck, but I prefer the English edition because the layout and the makeup of the card layout is a bit better than the Dutch printing. I don't know, a lot of people are a little bit meh about Angela Hartfield's messages on her cards. I do like them. Once again, they're comforting. I don't know what Angela Hartfield looks like at all. Maybe there's a picture in the book. But for some reason, I always imagine her as this really cute grandma. Josephine Wall looks like a really cute grandma. Angela Hartfield, not necessarily is, but and she's coming out with a new deck that I saw on that looks really, really cool. It's called Whispers of Aloha. And I was like, Aloha? Why is she doing a Hawaiian deck? It's because she is Hawaiian. So that's really cool, and the art looks scrumptious. This is definitely a feel-good, a deck that makes me feel good. You know, I don't want to do shadow work all the time. I don't want to get all the hard-hitting questions all the time. Sometimes you just want to be loved. And this deck does that. So, yeah, I like that a lot. Next up is not necessarily this deck per se, but I was looking at my collection and I have quite a lot of decks with art by Jimmy Manton. He's not always loved by people in the community because he does have a certain style that not a lot of people like, and I understand, but it's a style that I love. I grew up on Marvel Comics, video games, Masters of the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. His illustration style is very that. It's very Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons meets X-Men meets Masters of the Universe. I do love this illustration though. And the Gospels of Aradia is a deck. He used to work together with Stacey DeMarco all the time, and then he did a couple with Alana Fairchild. The Stacey DeMarco ones he did were a bit more my jam, honestly, because I think Stacey DeMarco is just a little bit better of an Oracle writer, although I don't necessarily agree with what she writes all the time, but let me just say that she knows how to write a workable deck. Look, very He-Man, sexy Masters of the Universe. So I was kind of like, I did use this week, and this deck is not necessarily the feel-good deck, but his art definitely is feel-good to me. It makes me feel really good, especially the Gods and Titans one. I think his art in that is outstanding. Another one he did with Stacey. This is the only mass market Oracle deck out there now that's purely focused on the divine masculine and the gods from all around the world. Once again, if you're not into He-Man, if you're not into Marvel Comics, if you're not into that late 80s, 90s style of illustration, this is not for you. I am very much into that. It's very part of who I am. It's very part of my DNA. He's a huge influence to me. And I just got really nostalgic, and so sometimes I will just pick these up to look at the art, because honestly, whenever I use the Gods and Titans, I never get the gods I want. I always get the gods I need, but you know, I want, which god do I want? Stupid Oracle deck, give me, yeah, I want Thor. Give me Thor, you know, like, I mean, come on. But I never get Thor. I always get the darker gods from this deck. And yes, there are some mistakes in here, and yes, they don't always look the way they should, and yes, some of them may be a bit culturally appropriative, but I still love it. I love his art style. I still kind of want to get the animal one he did with Stacey DeMarco, as well as the nature one. The Celtic tree one, not so much, because, you know, although they're very pretty illustrations of trees, I'm a little bit mad about it. Another one that made me feel really good was this one. Andy Schwartz, his Skull Garden studio, and he created the Pathfinder Oracle deck. And he was like the shit a couple years back, and he kind of like did a couple decks. He did the Tarot and Oracle, a Lenormand, he did this, and then he was kind of like done. And the community like completely deserted him, which I think is not cool. Because, you know, he is really good. His illustrations are amazing. This deck is very ingenious because you read them like this, so diamond shaped rather than square shaped, and you shuffle the cards and turn them around, and depending on how they land, you read them different ways. So there's a positive way, a negative way, an active way, and a passive way. And at first I was like, but these are such random symbols, and as I started flicking through the deck, I realized that these were all symbols that I could very easily come up with a positive, negative, active, and passive meaning for myself. So So it's almost like this was made for me. Andy Schwartz uses make playing cards to print his products. This has held up extremely good. I feel like when make playing cards uses when people do their Kickstarters with make playing cards, their quality control is a bit better, because lately it's been a little bit iffy there, if I can be honest. But yeah, I really like it. Sometimes I don't know. Sometimes the symbol doesn't trigger anything with me, and then there is this really handy little booklet that's in alphabetical order, and you can very quickly find everything you want. So I don't know, the reason why this is a feel-good deck for me is because of the familiarity of it. When I opened it and had a really nice, I remember it so well. A lot of this is tied to nostalgia to you guys. This was in the beginning of my deck collecting career. And I remember getting this and spending a whole evening just going over the deck, card by card, thinking for myself, hey, what does the Coyote stand for me personally? Okay, that's really interesting. How could I transmute that into an active, passive, positive, negative meaning for a card? And also the idea that you have to wind up the deck. I even created one of my own, which was really bad, and it'll never see the light of day again. Although if you look very deep into my Instagram, you may find it. I have some other decks here, but I'm kind of like, yeah, I like them, but also they're pretty new and I have mentioned them before. Some other cool shit that I got. I bought a pendulum. I was actually, again, at the metaphysical shop. We were like looking for an answer, or at least the lady in that owns the place was looking for an answer, and she was like, I don't know, I need some help from source, I need some extra guidance. I was like, why don't you use your pendulum? And she started using it, and I was like, I can figure out some really interesting little tidbits I can use this for. So I got one of my very own, and it's very basic. It's it's nice and heavy, and it's fun. Willem hates all this kind of crap, so I forced him to play Hide the Labradorite with me, and I found it so quickly with the pendulum that it completely freaked him out, and that alone was worth the purchase. The lady at the store said when she did her pendulum course that the instructor actually said it's better if you get a more heavy metal pendulum rather than a crystal one, even though they do look prettier. So I got this, and I intend to find really interesting uses for it. What was really interesting is that I shuffled a deck and I intuitively selected cards, but there were like 3 where I was like, I couldn't get a clear hit. You know when you hover over the cards and you get a little bit of electricity current and you pick that card? And there were actually 3 that were all giving me that, and I was like, no, I just want to know which one is for me. And the pendulum pointed at it, and it was actually really funny because it was the card that I wanted to get, not necessarily the card that I needed. So a lot of fun in this really cute little velvety bag. So that was neat. A book that I'm reading right now that I'm loving is The Gifts That Bind Us. This is the sequel to All Our Hidden Gifts. This is young adult fiction about witchy stuff and tarot, especially the first one. The first one is very tarot heavy. Tarot gets featured in this, but are these the best books ever? No, but they're very cozy. It's a very cozy read, especially this one. It's a little bit more about their developing friendship and a little bit less about action. And I did read that in a review online, and I thought that I would find that really boring. But this has been my bedside table read for the last couple of days, and this is how far I've come. And it's a lot of fun. It's so cozy. Perfect for fall season. Another one that I literally can't wait to reread was this one, the Hex. Horrible book. Loved every second of it. The XX. You can probably get it for really cheap on Amazon. It's already getting a little bit dark, so that means I have to round off. It's a romance novel, but with like witchy stuff. Really dope. I finished this in under a day, and it was such a hoot. Another one that I've shown before, but it was just on my table now, so I just had to. Yeah, am I gonna recommend? Well, I'm gonna recommend a little bit more. Another really cool witchy Halloween read that I can't wait to reread either is Hex Life. All sorts of modern tales of witchery. Really good. Every story is a banger. It's not like, oh yeah, there were like 2 really good zingers of stories in there and the rest was kind of meh. But I'm happy with that. No, every story is a complete banger, should be made into a Netflix series or has the potential to become a full book or novel on its own. Really good. So that, and then also very witchy, even though you might think it isn't, Cinderella is Dead. Also really good young adult fiction. So that was most of my favorites. It's not. I mean, I could pretend like it is, but I'm still kind of debating whether or not I like this. I think it's really cool and usable, but the quality of the set is really bad. But it's cute. It's cute. It's a neat stocking stuffer, I would say. And another neat stocking stuffer that I may as well just put upon my make playing cards because it's cute and fun. This one, definitely a feel-good deck because it's very nostalgic looking, again, and fortune tellery. You know, this is one of the older divination decks out there that nobody really knows and loves, and I remastered it completely, and it is a feel-good deck. And you know, whenever I want some quick items, but there's a lot, this is not necessarily feel-good, so who am I even kidding? I also don't take it that seriously all the time, you know. This is very old-fashioned in the sense of, there is a tall, dark stranger coming for you, and he will steal all your money and make passionate love. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's all I want in my life, so I'm happy about that. So lots of feel-good stuff. I wanted to do this because I had a pretty intense day, and I just wanted to sit down and play with y'all and with my decks. So some stuff that's coming up, definitely whenever I find the time and will, that Chippendale Angel deck review. I also want to do a little bit of a review on the Divine Arts Tarot by Haley. It's really stunning, well produced. I love that. Tons of more stuff coming up. It's almost pitch black outside. No, I'm kidding, but I really need to stop this video. Love y'all, and goodbye.